Welcome all to the law study related videos. Here I am with a new lecture for you on Indian Penal Code 1860. In last video, we have seen the stages of development of Indian Penal Code in India. In today's lecture, we will see the essential elements of crime. So let us get started. Before moving towards essential elements of crime, it is very important to understand the meaning and definition of the crime. So the word crime, it is derived from the Greek word krimos, which means to accuse. So crime, it is mostly an accusable act. So accusable act, it means an act which makes oneself liable for the punishment for commission of that particular act. Therefore, crime is an accusable act for which liability or responsibility arises of the person who had committed it. Now let us move towards the definition of the crime. Friends, the word crime is very difficult to define as according to the discipline or according to the society, the meaning and definition of the crime will get changed. So many jurists, many criminologists, sociologists, etc., they try to define the term crime by their own sense of the term. Let us see some of the definitions of the crime. Firstly, the definition which was provided by Sir William Blackstone, that we will see. According to William Blackstone, crime, it is an act which is committed or omitted in violation of public law, that law either forbidding it or commanding it. So according to him, crime, it is an act or it is an omission which was provided by the public law, which is forbidding that particular act or asking for performance of that particular act. The second definition that was provided by Oxford Dictionary, according to it, crime is an act which is punishable by law as it is forbidden by statute or it is injurious to the public welfare. So, some acts which were made punishable by law, being it forbidden by that particular law or being it injurious to the public welfare, those are treated as a crime. Lastly, let us see the definition provided under Indian Penal Code, section 40 of Indian Penal Code. But Indian Penal Code, it had not defined crime in the sense of the term as crime. They had used the alternate word, that is offense, in place of the term crime. The word crime is a very wide term. So Indian Penal Code preferred to define the term offense in place of crime. According to it, offense is a thing which is punishable under this code or under any special or local law which is which is hereinafter defined under the code. So according to this offense, it is a thing which is made punishable under the code or any other special or local law, that is called as an offense. Friends, now let us move towards essential elements of a crime. There are mainly four essential elements of crime. Firstly, an act or omission. Secondly, guilty intention. Thirdly, presence of human being must be there. And fourthly, injury is one of the necessary element to be present in a crime. So, if those elements are absent thereat, then no any crime took place. So, four essential elements are must for commission of an offense. Friends, before moving towards the essential elements of crime one by one, I would like to introduce you with one of the Latin maxim, that is actus non facit reum nisi mensit rea, which means that for any act to be illegal in nature, it must be done with a guilty mind. It means that along with act, if there is presence of guilty mind, then and then only crime will took place, otherwise not. So this particular maxim shows you or reflects two essential elements of a crime, that is an act and secondly the mens rea or the guilty intention. So now let us move towards the essential elements of the crime one by one. Firstly, actus reus, that is an illegal act or an illegal omission. Friends, As actus reus is the first essential element, it includes not only an illegal act but also an illegal omission as well. It means if you are actively, aggressively doing anything which is predefined inside your mind, you have made up your mind so as to commit an offense, and so that you have committed something or you have acted illegally, then that is an act. But suppose if something is you are bound to do something, it means it is your duty to do something, but if you are omitting to perform or omitting to do your duties, then also it is coming under the act. So an act which contain illegal act as well as omission, which is the first essential element of a crime. Second essential element of a crime is mens rea, or we can call it as guilty intention. From the above maxim, we have seen that along if there is no any type of guilty mind is present, then it doesn't constitute a crime. So as to constitute crime, there is necessity of a guilty intention as well. So nobody without guilty intention cannot commit anything, and if any act is committed without guilty intention, then it doesn't constitute a crime. Third essential element is presence of human being. For the sake of definition of the human being, we have to see section 11 of the Indian Penal Code, which is defining the term person. So according to that, person includes not only a human being or not only a physical bodied person, but also it includes the artificial persons as well. Means corporations, companies which were incorporated, those are also covered under the definition of the person. So according to it, if any offense had been committed by the artificial person or the corporation, company, etc., then the head of that particular department or owner of that particular company is held liable for that particular offense. So presence of human being or act must be committed by a human being is very essential. Here human being, it doesn't include the non-living beings, it includes only the living beings, living human beings. The last essential element is injury. So if the above three essential elements were present, that is act was committed by a person that was illegal act, the guilty intention was also behind commission of that particular act, and the act was committed by human being, but if suppose no any injury is caused by commission of that particular act, then that particular thing will not constitute or will not be called as crime, because there is absence of injury to any other person. So injury is also one of the essential element of a crime. Here we have seen the four essential elements which were needed to constitute a crime. Here it is very easy to understand the three essential elements, that is an act, then human being and the injury. Somewhat difficult is to understand the concept of mens rea, or we can call it as guilty intention, because mens rea, the concept of mens rea is nowhere defined in Indian Penal Code or in any other law. So mens rea is very necessary to be understood deeply. No doubt, the concept of mens rea is nowhere defined in Indian Penal Code, but some terms which were used in Indian Penal Code in place of the term mens rea, those are negligence, recklessness, or intentionally, or deliberately, etc. So these terms are used in Indian Penal Code so as to reflect or so as to express the term mens rea. So whenever any person he is committing any act intentionally or negligently, then we can constitute thereat the mens rea behind commission of that particular act. As we are looking at the concept of guilty intention or mens rea, it will be incomplete without having mention of the term motive. You may say that motive and intention both are one and the same, but it is not so. Motive is different from the intention. For commission of a crime, one of the essential element is mens rea or the guilty intention, not the motive. Motive is not considered as an essential element of the crime because motive, it can be good or bad. So you may ask that how a motive can be good or bad. So I will let us give you an example. Suppose a man, he steal a bread from a shop so as to feed his starving child. In this case, the offense of theft had been committed by that person. But the motive behind commission of that particular offense of theft, that is to feed his hungry child. But law is not looking behind the motive of that particular person, but law is looking at the intention. That intention was to steal that particular bread, and so the person is liable for the offense as one of the essential element, that is guilty intention, was present in this particular type of crime. So motive and intention are looks related to each other and are related to each other but are not one and the same. So as to constitute or so as to frame intention, motive is very much important. So motive is reason behind the intention, whereas intention is background of committing the offense. So as to understand the concept of mens rea, let us see some English criminal cases. The first case, that was R versus Prince. In this case, Henry Prince, who was convicted under Section 55 of Offences Against the Persons Act 1861 for taking an unmarried girl who was under the age of 16 out of possession of her father. In this case, the girl to whom Henry Prince taken away, that is Annie Philip, she was actually of the age 14 years, but she stated Prince that she had completed the age of 18. So, by believing upon her, he took her away. In this case, the Henry Prince, he was convicted by the court and he appealed against the decision of the conviction in the upper court. Issue which was involved in this case, that was to decide whether the court is required to read a mens rea requirement into a statute which is silent upon the mens rea for the offense. So the statute, that is Offences Against Persons 1861, that was not stating anything with respect to requirement of mens rea, that is guilty intention. The statute is silent. It means that statute is not saying that mens rea or guilty intention is needed so as to constitute a crime. So, in this particular case, as Henry Prince, he had appealed against the order of the lower court. So, in this particular case, the appellate court, it decided against the Henry Prince, against the appeal, and conviction was upheld by the court. And herein, court held that when a statute is silent as to the requirement of mens rea for an offence, court is not bound to read mens rea requirement into a statute. It means that mens rea is not needed to be compulsorily made it applicable, being it an essential element of the crime in a particular offense where it is not mentioned at all in the statute or in the law itself. Here in this case, the appellate court totally rejected the concept of mens rea, the requirement of mens rea, and it held that even though the person was not having knowledge. Next case in which court took totally opposite view and accepted the concept of mens rea even though it is not mentioned in the statute, that is the case of Sweet versus Parsley. In this particular case, the appellant Stephanie Sweet, she was a subtenant of a farmhouse where cannabis resin was found. So, as she was no longer lived in that particular house and had let out several rooms to the tenants and retained a room but only returned occasionally so as to collect some letters or rents, etc. So she was not knowing anything what was going on in that particular farmhouse. So herein the appellant, that is the Stephanie Sweet, She was charged and convicted under Section 5B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1965 as being concerned in management of the premises used for the purpose of smoking cannabis resin. That was the offense charged against her. So, in this particular offense, as she was not knowing anything, she taken a defense that mens rea was absent, she was not knowing anything, so no any guilty intention was present thereat in the act. But this particular act, that is Drugs Act, it was not having any mention with respect to requirement of the mens rea for commission of the offense. Here, in this case as well, the same issue arises. That is, whether in this type of offenses the mens rea was required or not. So, in this case, the appellate court held that the requirement of mens rea is very essential and it is presumed that mens rea prevails if any offense had been committed. So, while convicting an offender, the mens rea needed to be proved, otherwise, the person will be released or acquitted. So, in this case, Miss S, she was convicted by the lower court. That order of conviction was quashed by the appellate court as there was no any type of requisite mens rea present in this particular type of offense against her. So friends, today we have seen the definition of the crime and essential elements of the crime, and in very detail we have seen the mens rea or guilty intention as one of the essential element of the crime.